All right, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about the common characteristics of ACOA. And ACOA, pretty much all it means is that you're an adult child of an alcoholic. And there's certain characteristics that we look for when we are talking about children of alcoholics or people who have uh, grown up in dysfunctional families. So when I say ACOA, just think um, dysfunctional family, like growing up in a dysfunctional family. When you grow up in a dysfunctional family, you always end up coming up having certain survival skills or developing certain survival skills when you are in a dysfunctional family. And a lot of times people come into my practice and they tell me, why can't I develop relationships? Why do I always end up with certain people? Why is it that people tell me I have control issues? Why is it? Why is it? Why is it? Why is it? And then as we start talking, they start telling me their family history, and I'm like, aha, you had ACOA. Now I know why. So anyway, we're going to go over what some of these characteristics are so that you can start working on dealing with some of that crap. And so you can then start moving forward in your life and start making some of these changes in your life so you're not stuck with these characteristics. Now, let me be real clear on that though. These characteristics, they're not all that bad either. The main thing is that these characteristics, you bring it more into when I talk continuums, there's always one end of a spectrum to another end of the spectrum. So what we're trying to say is bringing that from one side of the continuum spectrum and bringing it more into the middle so that it's a healthy balance. So if you're going to be over responsible, bring it in so that it's more of a healthier balance so that you're not going over the deep end. So that's what we're talking about here. Okay. So some of the common characteristics, guessing what normal is. A lot of times people say, well, I always feel out of place. You know what I mean? Like, I always feel like everybody else is, in this great group of normalcy, and then there's me. I'm like here, and this is where everybody else is, and then like I'm over here somewhere floating around in space. I never feel like I'm in this crowd over here. So I never know what the hell normal is. I'm always trying to guess it at that. Difficulty on following through on anything. Like, I'm never finish anything. I'm always a procrastinator. I'm always start things, but I never finish things. Like, what the hell is that all about? I hear that all the time. Instead of just telling the truth, you always end up lying about things. It's a common characteristic. It's always easier to cover shit up instead of just coming clean and just saying things for what it is. That's a typical characteristic. Judging without mercy, always judging oneself, judging others, judging things, but it's an all or nothing kind of symptomology. It's always extremes. It's never like, it's an all or nothing thing, you know what I mean? So when you make a judgment call, it's always like major harshness. It's never easy, difficulty having fun and taking themselves very seriously. That's always typical. Having difficulty with intimate relationships. Now, this is a big one for people. Because why? Because they don't trust anybody. Just like if you use this example, here is their circle of trust, and with people who grow up in dysfunctional families, there's them in the circle of trust, and here's everybody else. And the reason for that is that they don't trust nobody. But what happens is that they want you to believe that you in this circle of trust. It's part of manipulation, or what, whatever you want to call it. But they want people to believe that you're in the circle of trust, but really you're not in the circle of trust. And that's a survival tactic that you learn really early on in dysfunctional families, because the point is that what stays in the family stays in the family. Nobody is to know what goes on outside of our family system. No, we don't want anybody to know that our dad drinks or our mom drinks or do drugs or whatever. No, we don't want nobody to know that we just got beat up last night. No, we don't want nobody to know that shit just went down in our house and the cops got called. We keep that stuff to ourselves. You know what I mean? It's embarrassing, it's shame. No, we don't want nobody to know that. So no, we don't tell nobody what goes on with our business in our family. Our family business is our family business. We don't tell nobody our crap. So yes, they don't trust nobody. So of course, if you come from a dysfunctional family, what stays in a family stays in a family. You don't go outside their circle. So as you grow up and become an adult, yeah, of course you're gonna have issues with intimate relationships, because you don't trust nobody because you were taught to not to trust anybody, you know. Next one, overreacting to changes over which they have no control over. Very true, very much control freaks. You don't like not having control over everything. So when things get out of your control, you freak out. And for people who have developed addictive behavior, what happens is that when things get out of your control, what do you end up doing? You end up doing your addictive behavior. You go out, you drink, you use, you gamble, you have sex, whatever the case might be, because you want to escape from that problem, because why? You had no control over that situation. For people that don't have that kind of serious addictive behavior, what do you end up doing? You try to control other people. If you're big codependent, that's what you do. You try to control people within your area, or you get really upset and you end up eating, or you end up spending a whole bunch of money, or whatever the case might be. Constantly seeking approval and affirmations from other people. I want to know that I am doing this right. I want you to validate for me that I am good. I want you to validate for me that I am awesome, that I did this right, that I am the perfect employee, that I am the perfect student, that I am the perfect girlfriend or boyfriend or partner or whatever, and when you don't get that validation, more and more and more, you feel like crap, and your self-esteem gets more and more in the gutter, and you always feel like, well, I'm a piece of shit. I'm not worth it. I'm not good enough. So always seeking approval and affirmation, feeling that they are different from other people. Once again, you never feel normal because you don't know what the hell normal is, because you never grew up in a normal environment. So you always feel different. You don't feel like you belong. You have no idea what that means. You always feel like you're not normal. You're not in the group. You're not sure what that means. Being super, super responsible or being super, super irresponsible. Typical ACOAs, it's either one part of the continuum or the other. It's never in the middle, or what we would consider normalized behavior. You're always either over here or over here, but never what normies are. Never ever. You're never there. Super impulsive, super, super impulsive. So, you never sit down, stop, think, react. You never STR. You always, always make impulsive decisions. It's like, okay, I think I want to go out and buy a car. Okay, cool. Let's go out and do that. Oh, I think I want to go on vacation. Let's go out to California and, get out of here because I'm super stressed. Okay, let's do it. Or like, yeah, I think I want to sign up for school. What? Right now we don't have money. I don't care. Let's do it. Stuff like that. Very impulsive decision making skills. Because why? Because everything was done on a drop of a dime when you were living in that type of environment. Because why? That's what dysfunctional families did. Comfortable chaos, right? That's what you did when you're growing up in your family, because your family was like that. There was nothing that was done in any particular order because that's how you grew up in. It goes on to discuss that children in dysfunctional families or ACOAs, whatever you want to call yourself, had very low self-esteem. Why? Because if you grew up in a dysfunctional family like that, was it very nurturing? Probably not. Of course not. Everybody was too busy trying to survive. So was it very nurturing? No. Everybody's trying to survive. Everybody was always feeling probably very unloved. Everybody's probably in isolation. And everybody probably felt like, who loves me? I don't know. I have no idea. I was always in a state of crisis and chaos. That's probably what they felt like. Children are probably always preoccupied by anxiety and probably by a sense of chaos and self-consciousness. So, of course, they had no idea what love meant. If they did, it was very, very minimal, and they always was second guessing that. Do they love me? I don't know. That was probably part of it. So that is part of what ACOAs go through. So with that in mind, as you become an adult, trying to develop a normalized relationship as an adult with somebody else, very hard, because you're always second guessing them. You're always second guessing if they care and love you, and you're always second guessing if you're good enough for them, and vice versa. So this is part one. I guess we can talk more about it later if people have a desire to learn more about this, about ACOA, about addictive behaviors and relationships. So blog for the week. If you have any questions or concerns, like I always say, please take the time to comment, email, if you want to know more about ACOA. As I always say, be well for the week, be an advocate, because you are your only advocate out there. And until next week, aloha everybody.